Welcome to the FemiNinja Project. I am your host, Cheryl Ilove, middle-aged ninja, hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the FemiNinja Project. Welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project. And today we're going to talk about the importance of mentorship and having somebody who can help guide you along the way through some of the rough patches in life. And I am so excited to have a return guest. Today's guest is Marisa Jones. You may have already heard her on the previous podcast, number 70. Peace, love, and healing. She is a beautiful person, a beautiful spirit with a beautiful soul, and I am just really happy to have her on the show again. So Marisa, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm so excited to be back again. I love speaking with you.
And I love speaking with you. You have so many fascinating stories. I so enjoyed talking to you last time, but there were a couple of more things that I really wanted to get to and dig a little bit deeper into your story and your background. One of the first things I want you to talk about and tell us about the importance of mentorship and having a mentor and your own personal experience of how that came about for you.
You know, I never really thought about having a mentor when I was younger. It was just a term that I hadn't heard of before. But the first mentor that I had ever met was someone actually that I did not like. I worked for a large oil company in New York, and I was hired on to do some administrative work and to do some little bit of IT work to help the accountants. And there was an IT manager there. And for some reason, I chose not to like him. I judged him. I don't even remember why. And remember from our last conversation, I was not a very nice person. So when I didn't like someone, I would tell them straight out. So, my response would be, I would get introduced and my response would be, I don't like you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to waste my time with you. I mean, I was pretty blatant.
You didn't say that out loud, did you?
I did. I was mean. I was, for some reason, I was putting my own boundaries around me, not knowing why at the time. But remember, I was a bully, and we talked about that the last time I was on your show. And that was for me, for some reason, if I didn't like someone, that was my first response. I would tell them straight out.
Well, it sounds like it's self-protection too. It's a way to protect yourself.
Perhaps, yeah, because I was always in defense mode, right? I was always ready for a fight, because I had these survival instincts as a bully. And so this individual was one individual that I chose to judge, and I chose that I was not going to like him, and I told him that. And I was mean to him. I was just mean to him all the time. And he didn't care. It didn't matter that I didn't like him. And this gentleman was probably 10 or 15 years older than I was, and he was an IT manager, so I had to work with him. And he started to take me under his wing, and I didn't realize what he was doing at the time. I don't think he realized what he was doing at the time, but he chose to take me under his wing and teach me. And so we started, I started learning some more IT stuff. I started taking on more and more responsibility, and he was teaching. And little by little, our relationship grew. And I spent 6 years with him, reporting to him, and then eventually working alongside him. And he taught me so much in those 6 years, and he believed in me. And the more that he believed in me, the more that I believed in myself. And it was really interesting, because by the time I left, we were such good friends. And it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. And he was the one who changed my career from, I was a secretary and an admin at the time and taking odd jobs. And I was, testing computer programming on the side as a hobby. But he was the one who really helped me decide that I wanted to be an IT professional. I wanted to continue my focus in my career.
So as this was happening and he was taking you under his wing and you're having this transformation in the relationship, did you realize at first what was happening? And could you feel it in yourself that your feelings toward him were changing, or was it just so subtle that you didn't even realize it at first?
It was subtle. I did not realize it at first. The more he believed in me, the more I believed in myself. He convinced me to go back to college.
Wow.
So I did. My company was paying for it. It was subtle and it happened over the years. And eventually, by the time I left, I knew what an impact he had on me. But
Hmm.
of course, I never told him. I would say thank you and, I appreciate all your help. And, I was still protecting myself, so I
Hmm.
didn't go all in. And it wasn't until I published my book last year, I had moved out of state. So I think maybe we kept in touch maybe 3 or 4 times in the last 30 years through
Wow.
email, because before cell phones and before all technology, people didn't really communicate that way. So I think I probably talked to him 3 or 4 times, and I sent him an email, and I told him about my book, and I told him about my platform, and what I was doing. And he responded that he was really proud of me and he wasn't surprised. And when I replied back to him, I told him straight out. I said, John, his name's John. I said, John, I fought you from day one, and you saw something in me that no one else did, not even myself. But you believed in me. And even after I was mean to you, you took me under your wing and you taught me so much. And you taught me not only about IT, but you taught me to be a better person to others.
Mm.
I'll never forget the impact you had. Thank you. And the response I got is something that stays with me. So he's still having an impact on me,
Uh-huh.
because what he responded was, he basically said, in life, we rarely realize the impact we have on others. And especially now with your outreach, you will most certainly affect thousands upon people that will never respond to you. They'll never reply to you for whatever their reason, but they will be better for your efforts. And he replied, someone is always listening, so keep putting it out there. And that really stuck with me. So, when you're writing and you're blogging and, putting stuff out on social media, and it's all about mental health and feeling good about yourself and all these things, and sometimes you don't get responses, and you
Hmm.
put your whole heart into something and you think, wow, this is really profound, right? And you think you're going to get 100 likes,
Right.
and you get two, right? And and whenever something like that happens, immediately you start thinking, well, maybe this stuff really isn't that good, or how, there's a little bit of self-doubt. And then I always go back to what he said. And what he said was, someone is always listening, so keep putting it out there. And so that's what I do. That's my drive, is somebody, and because I know for me, if I read a blog post that's really profound, or social media post, I don't always respond.
Right.
There's no reason to. That's personal for me, but it does have an impact. And
Well, and
so
a
I
lot of
keep,
times we're so distracted. There's so many other things to do. Sometimes I'll read something and I want to respond to it, but I want to do it in a meaningful and profound way. So I want to take my time to write the response. And by that time, I see a shiny object somewhere and I'm off and running
right.
somewhere else.
Exactly. Exactly. We get distracted. And so we don't tell each other enough what their impact is on
Hmm.
us. We really don't. And I think we need to do more and more of that, because, mentorship, he was a mentor to me, and I never thought of him as a mentor until I realized, through this email exchange, that he really was a mentor for me and still is. And I do a lot of mentoring through my organization. I formally mentor 3 people right now. I've had others in the past.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's really important that whatever you're doing, whether it's career or personal, it's really important to reach out to people who have been there, done that, and that can guide you, because we don't have all the answers, right? And
Right.
we're always learning. And I think mentorship is really, it's really important to reach out to someone and talk to them about it.
So there's one thing I did want to ask you as you were talking about your relationship and how the transformation, it sounds like this man is very skilled in relationships and probably a little stubborn too because he wouldn't give up on you. If you had known what he was doing, would you have resisted?
Oh, most likely. I'm sure. Because I would have said, I'm going to do it my way. I'll get there myself. Because I've said that so many times to other people who tried to help me. I would have resisted. Exactly.
Well, in your defense, you had been burned before and enough times.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't trust people ever. So if anybody was ever trying to help me, there had to be a motive behind it.
Mhm. Well, I had a bit of an unlikely mentor, and it was actually my ballet master. And I never really was serious about ballet. I mean, I would take classes. I was late to the game. I started dancing when I was 20, and I just didn't like him. He was just so obnoxious, and he would say horrible things to the dancers. And I mean, just a nasty person. And then it wasn't until he got older, and of course I got older, and I saw a much different side of him. And there was a small group of us, there were about 4 women that got very, very close to him for the last 10 or 15 years of his life. And I mean, it was just such an honor and an opportunity to get to know him at that level. And a lot of the things that he taught me, I even dedicated my book to him.
Oh, that's incredible.
And he had been gone for 12 years. And I wrote a poem for him. And this when he
Wow.
got sick, he first got sick, and I wrote this poem, and I was in the process of writing it until I realized, oh, there's only one ending. There's only one thing that can happen. And I knew he was going to die. I mean, it was obvious. So I
Oh,
waited and finished it after he passed away, and I actually included the poem in the front of the book too for him. But even to this day, a lot of the things that he would say resonate with me, or I'll think, what would Mr. Boyette say? What would he do? Where I just think back on some of the things that he taught me. And it was like, don't go there, just rise above it and, be a lady.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I think some people who have never experienced mentorship, it doesn't have to be a formal mentorship, right? You can just gradually get there just by starting to go to someone in your expertise or what you're trying to be an expert at and start talking with them. And if you start meeting regularly and you're asking advice and you're learning from each other, then you have a mentor. You don't
Hmm.
have to formally go out and ask someone and say, will you be my mentor? That does work in formal corporate office, and I have done that.
Hmm.
Being in IT and being a woman, I don't have a lot of role models. And
Hmm.
so last year, I was having some challenges with my career and in a very male dominated organization. And so I reached out to another female VP in another part of our organization that was also IT. And
Hmm.
I emailed her and I said, listen, and I didn't even know her. I met her, 2 or 3 times in a meeting, but I emailed to her and I said, I'm having some challenges right now within my organization, and I don't have any female role models in IT. Can I speak with you? And she responded, and we met within a week or two after that email, and we met, and she was there for me. And
Wow.
we don't meet regularly. She said my door is always open. I
Hmm.
don't need anything, so I don't take advantage. But it's really important that we reach out and find these mentors when you need them, and sometimes they just evolve, like
Right.
in the story that you and I just talked about.
Right. I really like what you said about the learning from each other, because that is how we grow as humans. And yeah, I always like to talk about human dignity, and restoring human dignity one person at a time. And I think that that starts from being able to talk to each other and learn from each other. It's just, you miss so much when you don't do that.
Exactly. I, I formally mentor 3 individuals in my organization, and I learn from them just as much as they're learning from me.
Right.
It goes both ways. We
Right.
are all teachers and students, aren't we?
Well, in my martial arts, every time we pair up with somebody, we always bow to each other and say in Japanese, onegashimasu. And what that means is, please teach me. So even as a black belt, I'm saying it to the white belt, and the white belt is saying it to me. And when I was a white belt, I was shocked. It's like, what are you going to learn from me? But we do. We learn from each other, and we teach each other without even having a curriculum or an agenda, or this is what we're going to work on today, or this is what I will teach you, and this is what you will learn. It's a lot more of a open, organic, flowing, like a conversation like we're having now.
Right. Yeah, that's incredible. I didn't realize that's what the greeting was in martial arts.
Well, in our art, I don't know what the other art forms do, but ours is a very formal Japanese, ancient Japanese martial art. And when I say formal, it's kind of tongue in cheek because we're ninjas and we have a whole lot of fun. So there's an awful lot of, ribbing each other back and forth. And even my father, when I was a yellow belt, when he was visiting and he came to the dojo just to see me work out because everybody was shocked that I was taking martial arts. Ballet, they could understand, but martial arts, everyone had to see that. And my dad had a black belt in karate. And after, watching our class, when we were leaving, he said, I am so impressed with how much fun you have in there. He says, we were never allowed to talk or to laugh. It was so serious. And, that's part of the ninja spirit is really to have fun. And as you're learning, you learn through play a lot of times. And that's what we do. We play.
That's great.
It's
That's
a lot
how
of
children
fun.
learn. We're all child souls at heart, aren't we?
Exactly. And it's really fun. If you ever want to come and play with me at the dojo, I can show you a few things.
Yeah, I'll come check it out.
Okay. So how do you mentor people then? You say you have 3 people that you're working with right now.
Yes, they're all unique in their own way. So one
Mhm.
of them I mentor, and it's a specific IT specialized mentorship relationship that he's looking for.
Mhm.
He's new to data and analytics, and he asked me if I would mentor him. So we have a program that I follow where we put together specific goals of what he's trying to achieve. And I've been mentoring him since last year, so it's almost a year. And most mentorship programs last 6 to 8 months,
Mhm.
but he's extended it. He's asked for me to extend it. And we talk a lot about different things, how he might want to present something to the leadership to get buy-in.
Mhm.
So it's not so much the technical, and I mentor him on the technical, but it's more about business approach around that type of technology within our organization to how to move it forward. So that's one formal mentorship.
Mhm.
Another one is our relationship is more about business in general.
Mhm.
So it's just general business and not necessarily specific to our company that we work with, but it's just business in general. He wants to be an entrepreneur, things like that. Both of these individuals are probably 20 plus years younger than I am. So they're just asking for career advice
Mhm.
based on my experience. And then the third person is a woman.
Mhm.
And with her, we specifically talk more about women and leadership in organization and how to, present yourself in the organization, how to get your point across, especially in a very male-dominated organization, around IT. And so it's each one of these individuals have come to me for different reasons.
Mhm.
And so we put together goals. We talk about approach. I don't tell them here's what you do, here's A, B, and C because there's no
Right.
specific answer, right?
Right.
But it's just more of a it's more of a here's a problem that I'm dealing with, and here's my goals, and here's my objectives,
Mhm.
and how can you, as a third party, how can you advise me as to my approach? And we try different things to see what works, and we document it. It's more for themselves. We don't have to hand this in or anything.
Right.
But I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed mentoring.
What
It's
I think
something.
is so fascinating is that you have 2 men who approached you to help them in a male dominated industry.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I've been doing it a long time, so I guess they saw something in me that they wanted to learn from. I didn't even think of it that way, but yeah, I guess so.
It's pretty funny. When I was training a lot, yeah, when I first started, I was always looking for a really strong woman to appear and, who could take me under her wing and teach me the way of the ninja, the female ninja, and how to deal in this male dominated, testosterone infested environment.
Right.
And it was like, I just wanted that strong, powerful woman. I kept waiting for her to show up at the dojo. And it took me a few years before I realized that woman was already there.
And it was you.
Yes, and I never knew it.
That's great.
And it
Hey,
was
sometimes you have to be the leader, right?
exactly, if you would have told me that the first day or even the first 2 or 3 years that I was there, I would have run screaming into the woods and you never would have heard from me again. But the funny thing is, a lot of the men would come to me for help.
That's
And
great.
isn't that funny? But like, to help them with certain techniques, or if they were having a problem with somebody else in the dojo, or just, general advice or help or extra training so I could help them. And it's like, here I was, this middle-aged ballerina, and these big burly guys would come to me instead of going to sensei or some of the other black belts. And I realized that they were probably more comfortable with me, and that maybe the other guys intimidated them in some way, not intentionally,
Right.
but they found it easier to talk to me, from everything from the different techniques to the etiquette to how do I wash my gi properly to even relationship advice. It was crazy.
Obviously, they saw something in you that they're looking for,
Right.
right? And that's what mentors do. When you need assistance, right? If you're looking at for someone to guide you, you might have experience. If there's 10 skills that you need to be successful in a particular area in your life, and you've got 6 of them, and you're only looking to fill 4, you're going to look around you and find the person who's going to fill those 4, right? So it's not going to fit a specific role model, because those 4 might be something that you get out of anyone. It doesn't necessarily even have to be someone in your career, because you talk about these individuals talking to you about relationship advice and so forth, right? It had nothing to do with the environment you're in. And so a mentor could be just about anyone. It could be someone you meet at the grocery store. It could be,
Right.
the individual who delivers your packages. It could be anyone that fulfills a gap in something that you're looking to learn.
hmm So the other thing we were talking about earlier with the mentorship is the empowerment that you get from having that person be able to guide you.
Absolutely. I talk about this a lot in mental health, right? Because I blog about mental health. My book is about mental health. And empowerment and mentorship is the same thing. Because for me, I always say true healing starts by stepping out of your comfort zone and reaching out to others who have similar experiences. That's where fear ends and healing begins. So when you think about mentorship or you think about healing, right? If you're struggling with depression or you're struggling with anxiety, there's this fear, right? There's this fear to reach out. There's this fear to get help. There's this fear that you're going to be judged, that you're not good enough. And that applies not just for mental health. That applies for whether you're learning a new skill, whether you're learning karate, martial arts, whether you want to get a promotion in your work, right? There's this fear that holds you back. But as soon as you reach out and you step out of your comfort zone and you ask for help, whether it's through a mentor or whether it's getting a counselor or a therapist or going online and signing up for that training course that's going to help you get there. As soon as you step out of your comfort zone, now you've empowered yourself to move forward, right? So I say that's where fear ends and healing begins when it comes to mental health. But that's also where fear ends and growth begins when it comes to your career or expansion or growth, right? And now you are empowered. You are empowering yourself to move forward.
That applies to every aspect of your life then.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because once you reach out to someone for help, now you are in control. You're not sitting back fearful and of being judged, of taking that step, of hiding in the corner when no one has any idea of what your aspirations are. No one has any idea that you're struggling. No one has any idea that you have any of these thoughts of advancement or career or wanting to play the piano or, whatever it is. No one has a clue. As soon as you step out of that comfort zone, you eliminate the fear, and now you're getting the help and you are now in control, because all of a sudden, as soon as you put it out there, people are coming out of the woodwork to help you out.
Even asking for help is fearful.
It's extremely fearful. Oh my goodness. When I was going through my healing journey, I was afraid. I was afraid of telling everyone that I had issues. I was afraid of telling everyone I was depressed and suicidal. I was afraid to talk about it. I thought I was going to be judged. I was afraid of people at work finding out. I thought I was going to lose my job. I was afraid to tell people I was drinking a lot. Was afraid to tell people I had PTSD. I mean, you name it. There's all this fear of exposure, and it keeps you from moving forward. And so you're not empowered at that time, right? You're hiding in a corner, whether it's mental health or wanting to take a step forward to do something crazy. There's all this self-doubt, right? Who am I to learn martial arts? Who am I to take ballet? Who am I to learn this new skill? And so you have all this fear that keeps you from moving forward. And as soon as you step out of your comfort zone and you say, I am going to do this, I am going to get help, I am going to take this class, you're empowering yourself. And that fear just dissolves immediately. As soon as you take that first step, the fear's gone. And now you can do anything. You can move forward because you have now taken control of your life and you're moving forward.
So when you finally did take that step, that first step, and you reached out and asked for help, were you surprised by the reaction that you got from people, since you were afraid how they would, take it, or how they would respond to you, or, how much judgment they would have around you? Were you surprised at the responses that you got?
Yes, and I didn't ask for help for years. So I did it alone. And
Oh,
it wasn't until after I was mostly healed from my issues that I asked for help. And that's where my message to everyone is: don't wait that long. Don't wait that long. You have to take the risk. You have to take that risk. It just
if,
shortens the journey if
if
you take the
someone's listening to this right now, and if they wanted to take that step, but they've got so much fear around it, would they be able to reach out to you and just even get a little bit of a pep talk, or connect with you in some way that you might be able to mentor them, even if, or coach them, even if they're across the country?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone can reach me through my website. I have people reach out to me all the time.
I would like you
Absolutely.
to talk about your website and the programs. I mean, because it's such a beautiful site. You are creating an amazing community of people, like-minded people. And every time I look at you, there's something else going on, and wonderful blogs. And it's just amazing. So I think it's a great resource if anybody is looking for a little bit more information. So I'd like you to talk about it, if you don't mind.
Sure. Thank you, Cheryl. So the website is called Everyday Being. And what that means to me is that when you're healing from mental health, or you've been through trauma or abuse, it never goes away. You can have, most days are high, and you're really, you're happy and things are moving along. But things are going to happen, right? Look what's happening in our country right now.
Right.
Things are going to happen that affect your mental health, and sometimes it's really hard to maintain that positive attitude. And sometimes your old default behaviors start to come in to play: depression, anxiety, and so forth. So for me, my everyday being is knowing that I have the resources around me, and recognizing that it's time for me to do something about it. You know, Yesterday I woke up with anxiety. No reason whatsoever to have anxiety, had no idea, there was nothing going in my head. But I just had anxiety all morning. I was in meetings, I couldn't break away. When I finally had the chance at lunchtime, I took 20 minutes, I put on some meditation music, I meditated, I came out, the whole rest of my day was different. And so
Wow.
it's understanding that you can learn. It's about learning all the tools that are available to help you out. So things like journaling and meditation, and understanding what self-awareness means,
Mhm.
body awareness, mind awareness, emotion awareness. It's all these tools and tips. So when I was experimenting with how to heal, right, my self-help journey, I was trying everything, and some things work for me and some things don't. And so there's information on my website about all of these different things that I do and things that I don't do, but I know that it works for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I blog a lot about these, and I blog about it from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so the goal is for someone who is wanting to heal, but afraid to take that step, afraid to reach out to get help. They can learn about some of this, and they can start to use some of these tools and resources to help ease them out of that comfort zone, and help ease them out to be able to take the step to get help.
I really love what you said about sharing your experience with your day yesterday of starting out that way with the, anxiety, and knowing how to take care of yourself when you had the time, and how that completely flipped your day. Now that is empowerment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have to do that because in the past, 10 years ago, before I started my journey, I would have just spent the rest of the day in anxiety. I probably would have wound up curled up in my bed, crying by the end of the day, just sulking or just taking out my frustration on someone else. Instead, I was able to take the tools out of my back pocket
Mm-hmm.
and start to heal, to lift myself up and get me out of that so I can enjoy the rest of my day.
Mm-hmm. Wow. The other thing I wanted to point out when you were talking about how, if you've had trauma or abuse or whatever, it never does go away. And there's something, I don't know if I made this term up or if I heard it somewhere, like stuffing trauma. And you like stuff it so down, so deep inside of yourself, thinking if I just ignore it, it'll go away. I'll never have to deal with this. And that doesn't really work, does it?
Absolutely not. I always say I thought I was surviving,
Mm-hmm.
but inside I was dying.
Oh, wow.
And that's my message. I really thought I was a survivor. I was a fighter. I was beating the odds. I had a career, I had a family, I had a marriage. I was doing everything, and on the outside it looked perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
on the inside I was dying. I was depressed. I had PTSD, I had suicidal thoughts. The list goes on and on. I was unhappy, and everything that came my way, I fell apart. Now things come my way, I don't fall apart. I have bad days. We all do, right? I have bad days. This whole pandemic, what's keeping me through this pandemic is I do counseling.
Mm-hmm.
I do a video counseling every other week with my therapist, and it's something that keeps me afloat. I've been journaling. I've been writing, I meditate, all these tools to keep me out of it. Because if I spend way too much time on the news, boy, I get depressed. I mean, this stuff will get you down. Yeah, so it's how you react to it. I can react by sinking, or I can react by knowing what tools work for me and getting me out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I might say, you were a fighter, but now you're a warrior, and there is a difference.
Ooh, I like that. I like that way better. Woo,
Yeah.
I'm a warrior.
You are. You're a warrior. And a warrior is a champion. A warrior is not about fighting or warfare, or causing altercations. A warrior is full of love, peace, harmony. All they want is to be able to take care of themselves and their families and their community. And that's what it's all about. But don't cross the line, please.
Right. That's true.
So that's what it is. You're a warrior, and you've got the warrior spirit.
Thank you. It's good it's really, I keep saying this, it's really good to be on the other side of it. It's so freeing. It's
Yeah.
so freeing. It's like a weight's been lifted off of me from everything that I've been through. It's empowering. It's empowering.
Well, that was a word I was thinking of earlier when we were talking earlier in this episode. One word that just kept popping into my head was freedom.
It's definitely freedom. There's so much freedom to feeling healed, because you're making your own choices. You're making emotionally, mentally, physically, you are making your own choices every day. And because of that, because I'm not in a victim mindset anymore, my choices are positive and they're impacting me positively. And it's so freeing to know that I trust my choices. That's the biggest thing. I trust my choices. And in the past, I could never trust my choices because I wasn't mentally healthy.
Well, you've made an amazing transformation, and I know you help so many people just by sharing your story and your book and the website and the work that you do. And you've reached out to so many other different, again, like I said, like-minded professionals that do an awful lot of work in the field of mental health and supporting one another. So I really just commend you. I think that you're an amazing person.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm really trying to, there's a lot of organizations out there, and the more I'm on social media, the more I find every state, every country has these small nonprofits doing advocacy for mental health and domestic violence, and they're small. They're very, very small, and those are the ones that I reach out to. And I try to engage with them. I try to get them to be partners on my website because they are out there and they could help so many people. But because they're small and no one knows about them, they aren't able to help as many people as they like.
They kind of get lost.
Exactly. So I want to promote those organizations because there's so many out there, and I just want to be the voice for them all.
You're so amazing. So I just want to reiterate that your previous episode is number 70, titled Peace, Love, and Healing. And tell us again the name of your book.
The Lotus Tattoo, One Woman's Grit from Bully to Redemption.
And then again, the website is?
It's myeverydaybeing.com.
And Marisa, I am going to have you back on the show again real soon because we're still not done.
We had a few topics we were going to cover today and didn't get to them.
I kind of thought we might not, but that's okay because we're going to save them for another day because there is so much to talk about, so much to learn from each other, so much to share. And I just am so grateful to you that you take the time to spend with me and share your beautiful voice and your wonderful message of hope and healing to me and my listeners. So on behalf of my listeners too, we thank you so much.
Thank you, Cheryl. I absolutely love being on your show. It's always fun to talk with you.
Good thing, because you're going to be on it again more than once. Okay, well, thanks again, Marisa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. And remember to ask for help. Take that first step. Find the courage one way or another. If you need a pep talk, if you need someone to talk to, you can contact Marisa. Definitely look at her website. It's absolutely beautiful and full of wonderful information. So it's a way to really take care of your mental as well as your physical health and find your power, because that is the way of the FemiNinja. And that's a wrap on another episode of the FemiNinja Project. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.